Alright, so we're here at the back of my Panzer, and I've been pulling with this for a couple years now. Before that I was pulling my Simplicity. Before that I tried making an MTD, which didn't fare out too well. So over the years I've been learning a couple little tricks here and there. Could be wrong, but this is my experience, my what I've learned. Nobody taught me. This is all basically self-taught, and just getting out there, learning what works and what doesn't. A lot of people don't talk about it. I don't know if it's secrets. They don't want to tell people there are secrets. Me personally, I'd like to see a lot more people getting into this, because it's garden tractors. It's entry level. It's good for the kids and parents getting into it to help the kids out. I don't want the kids to get discouraged. I want them to keep pulling, keep coming back. And like I said, I've been doing it for a couple of years. I enjoy it. My kids are getting old now, so they're getting out of it, but I still do it. And yeah, I just like to see more kids get involved, and because some of the guys have been doing it for a long time, they're winning the polls because they're sticking with it and they learned a few things along the way. And so I make a couple videos on what I've learned, and hopefully you can apply them to your tractor and go out there and win some pulls. So today's video we're going to be talking about the hitch. It's a part of the tractor that gets overlooked a lot. People throw a hitch on there at the height that their rules say, and they don't put much thought into it. So hitches are actually as almost important as weights, because if you put your hitch in the wrong place, you have it the wrong height, you can cause the tractor to do wheelies and or take away from the weight transfer that you want, and that's negatively impacts how you pull. So it's not all about the height of the hitch, it's also where it is located on the tractor. Now this one here, I'm still using the stock hitch, and this is where you put a trailer on or whatever, but this is I believe they used that for a sleeve hitch, or the implements that went with this tractor originally, so I'm still using this. However, I used to have a D-ring coming on the back here. Right? What that did was it pushed my hitch back. Alright? So a lot of you clubs, they have a rule of how long the chain's going to be. Whether it's a stone boat or a transfer sled, the chain's a certain length. And that's important because the shorter the length of the chain, the more downforce you have on your tractor, and depending on where your hitch is, you can cause the tractor to wheelie. So a lot of the length of the chain is safety reasons. The longer the chain, the less impact it's going to have on the tractor. Alright, so it's not going to cause the wheelie, so they do that for safety reasons. But at the same time, you got to use that to your advantage. Right? The further back your hitch is to your axle, in essence, the longer the chain. And you don't get that weight transfer to your tires for traction. So what you do is you try to get that hitch as close to your axle as you can, and at the highest level that your rules allow you in your club. Right? They don't have rules that I'm aware of for where your hitch has to be. Now in a stock tractor pulls, you got to use a stock hitch, so you can't really modify it that much. But I don't pull in stock classes. This is modified. I got weights on it and everything else. This is not. I pull in heavy classes, 11 and 1400 pound classes. So I use this, which is just a receiver pin from a truck hitch. That's all it is. Goes through there. I drilled the pin, put pins on both sides, and I hooked the chain right onto that. Gets as close as I could to the rear end. Now down the road, I may turn around and cut these off and move them closer to my axle and get as close as I can. But right now that's been working, so I've been leaving it alone. If I start losing or need something, I had the room to adjust it. I could move it in. So the closer you get it to your axle, if you think about it, the chain, your axle's up here, right? So the chain's down here. The further away from your axle, technically that it's a longer chain, right? So if you move that hitch closer to your axle, you get that sled, whether it's a transfer sled or a stone boat, get it closer to your tractor. Once you start pulling in the angle of that chain, what it's going to do is it's going to put the weight on your tractor, and it's going to push the back of the tractor down. And that's when you got to compensate with weights, front and back, or wherever it might be. But you will start pulling better if that is closer to your axle. Another side note too, if you're pulling with your tractor and you notice it's starting to steer right or left, that could be a number of things. Your weights could be off balanced. You have more weight on one side than the other. You know, you can shift it. There could be tire pressure. That'll be another video. But your tire pressure could be off. But one of the main reasons that happens is, like me, I'm using a pin and not a D-ring, right? So what that allows is for the chain to slide back and forth on my pin, right? So right now I just got a straight pin on there. I don't have anything to prevent that. So down the road, I'm going to look into possibly bending that pin so that the chain will fit into the bend and it won't go back and forth. But as of right now, that pin, I can pull that pin out. I use my tractors for other than just pulling. If I pull this pin out, I'll put a receiver hitch in there. I'll pull a trailer around my yard. So having this pin, the accessibility of having a pin to come out with no bend in it is beneficial to me. So the little I lose in having to steer is good, because I come back home, I use my tractors for other things. So yeah, you want that chain to be in the center of your tractor. Off to one side is going to put that weight on this side, and it's going to steer the tractor to that side because it's pulling in that side. Makes sense? So that's why a lot of guys will run the D-ring. So I wanted to get that as close as front as I could. So maybe what I'll do is I'll take these brackets, I'll move them closer, get as close to that axle as I can, and maybe I'll put a D-ring in there. I still have the accessibility to pull the pin out when I need to, but I'll use that D-ring to hold that chain straight on the tractor. So that's about it for the hitch, but you gotta, like I said, don't overlook your hitch. Your hitch is very important. So with that being said, look forward to the next videos. I got plans for probably about another 3 or 4 videos, possibly more. And